A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki ISKCON Skanacharya Srila Prabhupada ki Jaya Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Astottara Sata Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Janacharya Vidas Thakur ki Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakun Radha Kund Giri Govardhana ki Shri Vrindavan Dhama ki Mayapur Navadvibhama ki Ganga Mai ki Yamuna Mai ki Bhakti Devi ki Tulsi Maharani ki Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki Shri Shri Radha Radhanath Srimad Mahaprabhu ki Shri Giriraj Govardhana ki Gaur Premanande. All glory is to the assembled devotees. All glory is to the assembled devotees. All glory is to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna. How is everyone this evening? Hope you are well. So as the advertised title for the program, it is Glories of Lord Nrsimhadev. There's a lot of current focus on Lord Nrsimhadev. Actually, Lord Nrsimhadev is, together with Lord Ramachandra, Lord Nrsimhadev is the most prominent and most attractive and most worshipped of all the incarnations of the Lord. Of course, Krishna, being Swayam Bhagavan, the original Adipurusha, Supreme Personality of Godhead, the fountainhead of all expansions, emanations, incarnations. He is, of course, the all-attractive person. As his name literally suggests, Krishna means the all-attractive one. And from that all-attractive one, the fountainhead, emanates these most astonishing, amazing incarnations and manifestations like Lord Ramachandra and Lord Nrsimhadev. So yes, as the topic today suggests, we will talk a little bit about the glories of Lord Nrsimhadev, and I hope that there will be some opportunity and some inspiration from you all to also share your own thoughts and realizations about what you see to be the glory of Lord Nrsimhadev. But before we do that, we'll read and discuss one verse on the 4th chapter of the 7th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. The chapter is entitled Hiranyakashipu Terrorizes the Universe. Normally we hear about somebody terrorizing the neighborhood, this political party or this government terrorizing the country. But you don't hear about one person terrorizing the entire universe. That's quite something. He became such a powerful person, supremely powerful, practically. Besides, it's described in the Bhagavatam that besides Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh, every single personality, 330 million devatas were quaking in fear of this person, Hiranyakashipu. Can you imagine his power? One would think that with such power, can he ever be disturbed or dissatisfied? He was so powerful, mind you, the scriptures describe that when he used to move his eyebrows, Indra used to run in fear. I see some of you moving your eyebrows, but no one's running in fear from you. Can you imagine then the potency of this person? That's quite something. Such power. But let's see shortly what his power amounted to. We will read from Srimad Bhagavatam. Please repeat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 4, Verse 19. Sahitam nirjita kako bhekarad vishayan priyan yato pajosam bhunjano natritya dachitendriya. Sahitam nirjita kako bhekarad vishayan priyan yato pajosam bhunjano natritya dachitendriya. Translation. Now listen very carefully. I sort of introduced the topic a little just now about Hiranyakashipu being so powerful, but as I pointed out, what did all that power amount to? So here, Bhagavatam, Narada Muni in his discourse to Yudhishthira Maharaj is speaking as follows. In spite of achieving the power to control in all directions, and in spite of enjoying all types of dear sense gratification as much as was possible, Hiranyakashipu was dissatisfied because instead of controlling his senses, he remained their servant. This is very, very interesting turn of the situation. Such a powerful person that even Indra, Vayu, Surya, they used to, when he moved his eyebrows, when he turned in a certain direction, he could make the wind go faster, he could turn up the temperature. You know, we think we're so powerful. We get these remote controls, right? And we can point it at our aircon and we press the button up or down, change the mode, and we can change the temperature, right? And oh, so powerful, living in such comfort. But Hiranyakashipu, just by willing it, he could change not just the temperature of his room or his palace, but the universe. Such was his air conditioning control. That was his power. But in this verse, what's more powerful than him? His indriyas, his six senses. Because he was a slave to them. He was a slave to them. So let's responsibly recite this translation. In spite of achieving the power to control in all directions, and in spite of enjoying all types of dear sense gratification, as much as possible, Hiranyakashipu was dissatisfied. Because instead of controlling his senses, he remained their servant. Srila Prabhupada's purport. This is an example of Asuric life. What is an example of Asuric life? That no matter how powerful you are, if you are controlled by your senses, you are an Asura. And what's an Asura? Anybody know the meaning of Asura?
Demon.
No, demon, isn't. But literally, what does Asura mean? Sura means demigods, and one who is opposed to the demigods, inimical, asura. But it has even a deeper literal meaning. Asura means one, or rather asura means one who simply exists, one who simply promotes their life simply to breathe, to exist, one who just lives life to exist in the best possible way, according to the body. This is the literal meaning of asura. And how many asuras you all know in the world? Is it everyone? Even ourselves, even myself, I can say, how many days go by? How many hours in the day goes by? How many minutes in the day, how many seconds in the day go by that I'm not thinking of just living for the sake of living, for the sake of breathing? So if one is simply living for the basis of the body, then that is an asuric mentality. That means there must be a higher purpose to being a sura or a devotee. There must be a higher purpose, much higher and over and above just this existence of the body. Oops. Can someone pick that up? Atheists can advance materially and create an extremely comfortable situation for the senses. But because they are controlled by the senses, they cannot be satisfied. Cannot be satisfied. This is the effect of modern civilization. Isn't it? Modern civilization is all about the titillation of the senses. What will make the tongue taste nicer things? What will make the nose smell nicer things? The eyes see more beautiful things. The sense of touch more comfortable things. It's all about, the whole world is revolving around how to please these five senses. And we think we're in control. But we are simply like donkeys with a carrot in front of us running after the dictates of the senses. This is asuric life according to the scripture. Materialists are very much advanced in enjoying money and women and men. Yet dissatisfaction prevails within human society because human society cannot be happy and peaceful without Krishna consciousness. The essence of Krishna consciousness is given as such that we have our five senses, right? And Krishna has his senses. And the basis of Krishna consciousness is Rishikena, Rishikesha, Sevanam, Bhakti, Uchyate. What does Rishikena, Rishikesha means? That Krishna consciousness starts, is carried on and ends with pleasing the senses of who? Of God, of Krishna. When one engages in Krishna consciousness in that mood, with that understanding, then that is real happiness. Rishikesh means the master of all the senses. Right now we are the slave to our senses. The only way we can become masters of our senses is to be empowered by the Lord of all the senses. Rishikesh. Indriyesh, Rishikesh. When we serve the master of all senses, then only are we able to control our senses. How many of you went on diets that lasted more than 1 year? Because the tongue is powerful, right? It's very hard to control the tongue. Very hard. Actually, I've been on a diet for a long time. I just haven't started it yet. I've been thinking about it, contemplating it, praying for it, but I just haven't started. So that counts, right? It counts. At least Prabhupada once said, just your desire to please me pleases me. So I'm taking that. But the desire to lose weight doesn't really happen by desire. You have to put effort. So how many of us have tried so many things to control our senses, but it just hasn't worked? Just hasn't worked. So many things. So many things. And even if you try your best and you come for Friday Namahatta, they just blow your resolve out the door, right? They make all this nice prasadam. And Mataji will say, just have little, the door. No, it's over. Of course, that's not uncontrolled senses. Because the way to serve the master of the senses is to control our senses by accepting everything that's offered to Krishna. Everything that's offered to Krishna. That's the way to control our senses. As far as material sense gratification is concerned, materialists may go on increasing their enjoyment as far as they can imagine. And people's imagination now is quite amazing, huh? The extent of imagination to enjoy the senses, it's quite something. But because people in such a material condition are servants of their senses, they cannot be satisfied. Hiranyakashipu was a vivid example of this dissatisfied state of humanity. He was so dissatisfied. I mean, he was so powerful. I mean, think about it. Ruling all these demigods and in charge of so much. You know, it's described that he even if it was winter season, the mango trees on his planet would be bearing mangoes. The earth, without rainfall, without any natural scheduling of the seasons, would deliver whatever grain was wanted by Hiranyakashipu, like spontaneously. The earth was so fearful that it was just giving all these gems and gold and diamonds just coming out without any mining was going on. Such was the fear they all had of Hiranyakashipu. See, he was so much in control of so many things. But when a 5-year-old child spoke something so simple and true, but unsatisfactory to Hiranyakashipu, he went beside himself. He couldn't take it. He just couldn't deal with it. And thus was his unraveling. So, this story of Lord Nrsimhadev highlights 3 important things. And they are all very essential to us. Of course, the manifestation of Lord Nrsimhadev, the half-man, half-lion incarnation of the Lord, is not some mythology, some figment of Srila Vyasadev's fertile imagination. No. This is actual history that took place many millions of years ago, where the Supreme Lord manifested in such an astonishing way, a very unconventional manifestation, isn't it? Who comes out of a pillar? Whenever we hear the descent of the Lord, he comes on the back of Garuda, flying in, or some amazing manifestation, but then a cracked pillar? That doesn't make sense. But the Lord goes to such an extent to prove the words of his devotee correct, true. Satyam Vedatam Nijavritya Bhashitam. The Bhagavatam says, simply, not for any other purpose, but simply to prove the words of his pure devotee Prahlad true, the Lord chose to come out of a pillar. This is Krishna. See how kind he is. So this first aspect of the Lord's manifestation that is significant in our lives is how merciful the Lord is. That what wouldn't he do for us, his devotee? That we do not have to be perfect. We do not have to be mature. What was Prahlad's age?
5.
He was 5. He was one of 4 sons of Hiranyakashipu, but he was considered to be the best. This 5-year-old child, what qualifications does a 5-year-old child have to impress upon the Lord in such a powerful way? And we may think we need to become very mature, very much refined, very much well-trained, otherwise we can't attract the attention of the Lord. No, Prahlad was able to. Why? Because Murko vadati Vishnaye, Dhira vadati Vishnave. That someone may be very learned, may be very expert in language, let's say Sanskrit. Dhiro vadati Vishnave. And they'll repeat the words very nicely, chant the slokas very nicely, do the pujas very nicely, everything. You know, sometimes you come across these devotees in the community, they're so pakka, so refined, and you think, wow, there's no hope for me. I can't do this. Why will Krishna be kind to me? But yes, Dhiro vadati Vishnu, they may pronounce everything very nicely. But still, Murko, someone who's not very learned, may say Sanskrit in not such a right way. They may say the word wrong. Instead of saying Vishnave, they'll say Vishnaye. But Lord Chaitanya is telling his spiritual master in this verse, Ubayostu samam punyam. Both of them will get the same results. The same spiritual result. Whether they learn it or not, whether they refined or not, whether they come from a Brahmin family or a Sudra family, it doesn't matter. Why? Because bhava, the emotion, the consciousness, the mood, is what Krishna takes. Bhava, grahi, janardana. Grahi, you know the word grahi? Like grahan, you know? Navagraha. The planets are called graha, grahi. Why are they called grahi? Because they grab, they take from you, you know? People get affected by the planets, right? Because the planets keep grabbing, taking away from them. So Bhava Grahi Janardana. Lord Janardana, he only accepts the mood in which we deliver our service. So whether we're a 5-year-old child or a mature person, 50 years in devotional service, if we have the right mood, the Lord will do anything, even the most unconventional thing, to appear before us and protect us and make our words true. Of course, now one mustn't think, oh, I just have to have the bhav. I just have to have the mood. No. Not only that, if one has the intelligence, if one has the capability, then one must use it. Because like Prabhupada says, consciousness alone won't help us. Activity is required. Just like someone is coming to the airport and they call you in Tonga because you all are close to the airport compared to us. So like Swarup, Damodar, Prabhu will call Mahaprasad, Prabhu, someone's landing at the airport, can you pick him up? Prabhu will say, well, I really have the mood to pick him up, but as long as that is enough, that should be okay, Prabhu. But the person didn't get picked up. What was the point, right? It didn't happen. So mood is important, no doubt. But when we have the capacity, if we have the facility, we must also act. And this was Prahlad. Not only was he so childlike, he had the proper mood, but he did so much in his service to Krishna. What was the expertise of Prahlad? This is the second part now that we must learn from. One is the Lord is so kind, so merciful. He accepts our mood, he'll appear before us. Then there's Prahlad. What was Prahlad Maharaj so expert at? Anybody knows? Chanting, yes. Chanting, yeah. Sort of. But next to chanting is hearing. And after hearing, he was remembering. Prahlad had an ability that in whatever difficult situation he was placed, remembrance of Krishna was at the forefront of him. How many 5-year-old children, how many 10-year-old children, how many 25-year-old children, 40-year-old children, 70-year-old can always remember God all the time? Very hard, right? I know I had a bad flu last week. I wasn't remembering Krishna. I was like, oh my God, my knees are hurting, my ankles are hurting, my throat I can't swallow. Thinking of all these things. What do you think Prahlad Maharaj was thinking of when they were poking him with tridents? Oh, my soft skin, oh, poor, When they threw him in a vat of burning oil, what was he thinking of? When he was thrown over a cliff, when he was put in the middle of stampeding elephants, when he was fed poison, what was Prahlad thinking of? It was Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. He was simply chanting the holy names of Krishna. Simply. And what was he seeing all the time? What was he seeing? He was seeing Krishna everywhere, every single place. So this is a very important lesson to us. How to be fixed in remembrance of Krishna. Simply by Prahlad's potent remembrance of Krishna, Krishna was right there all the time. He never felt alone. He never felt neglected or deserted. Simply by the potency of his remembrance of Krishna, Smarana. Smarana. So, Krishna is so kind and merciful. That's the first point. Second is Prahlad's qualities. If we have time, I'll try and read some of Prahlad's qualities that are coming up in the subsequent verses. Not only that, connected to the second point is, Prahlad Maharaja's qualities, is that as devotees, besides remembering Krishna, what are the qualities that we need to develop to attract Krishna the way Prahlad attracted Krishna, attracted Hiranyakashipu, Lord Nrsimhadev? We'll read that just now. And then finally, we have to learn something from who else? Who's the third important person in this whole story? Actually, I feel for me, where I am at now, the third important person that I can learn so much from is Hiranyakashipu. There is so much we can learn from him. Because when I am reading about the qualities and activities of Hiranyakashipu, I have to admit, and don't take this as some humble presentation to you all now. It's like putting a mirror up in front of me. My word, it's shocking the stuff that I can identify with in Hiranyakashipu. First and foremost, maybe this, if you find it applicable, please don't hold it against me. But I'm speaking for myself. What does the name Hiranyakashipu mean? Anybody know? Because if someone asks you your name, you say, okay, my name means this. But have you ever thought what Hiranyakashipu means? Like Ravana. Anybody know what the name Ravana means? Huh? Nightcrawler. He's a Rakshasa. Yeah. Doesn't crawl at night, he eats human flesh. He especially becomes powerful at night. But Ravana literally means one who makes the universe cry. That's a powerful name. One who makes the universe cry. And Hiranyakashipu, what does that mean?
Gold and cushion.
Gold and cushion, yes. Hiranya literally means gold. And Kashipu means comfort, like a nice soft bed. Nice soft sofa. You don't mind I'm sitting on a nice sofa. So when someone's very attached to opulence and wealth and riches and comforts and lives their life in such a way to get more and more and more of that, that is a Hiranyakashipu mentality. It's that mentality that's there. And who in the world doesn't like some nice things? Yes, we all like some nice things. We'd all like to have a little more gold. Just a little. I'm not asking for much, right? Just a little more gold. And then you get the little more gold and you want? Just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. Like in the 60s, one reporter was interviewing John Paul Getty. Older persons may have heard of him. The then wealthiest man in the world. And the reporter asked Mr. Getty, can you please explain the philosophy of your life in one word?
More.
He said more. More. Krishna was saying more. Aniyor, more offerings of kachori, sweet rice, rasgulla, sandesh. But John Paul Getty is also saying more wealth, more power, more influence, more fame. That's what he wanted for himself. But how much of that can you truly take with you everywhere? Even if you board a flight, you're only allowed, 23 kilograms or something. You can't even take it all with you. What to speak of when you pass away? How much can you take? I watched such a silly video about 6 or 7 years ago. some famous godman in India and some sort of scientists, religious scientists were talking, and they were talking how we need to create some amazing insurance policy. Because through certain scriptures that are there in the Vedic tradition, one can possibly predict where your soul will take birth in your next life. So what we should do in this life is that we should sell an insurance policy based on these Agama scriptures. Sell the insurance policy that you give us so many crore rupees now, and when you take birth in your next life, we will predict where it is and we will issue out the payment to you. Like, this is serious stuff. These are spiritual leaders that have millions of followers in India. Millions of followers. Thank Krishna for Prabhupada. Thank Krishna for Prabhupada. Just cut away all this muck and all this cheating mentality, this Hiranyakashipu tendency. Just exposed it in such a powerful way. So yes, we can learn a lot from Hiranyakashipu as well. And just this basic symptom of wanting to be very opulent, showing off wealth and power, and having always being looking after for a comfortable position in life. There is nothing comfortable in this material world, isn't there? Isn't it so nice at the moment? No load shedding. The people are thinking, hey, wow, life is so nice. My government is so nice. I must vote for them. Come June 1st. All of you are thinking like that, isn't it? Stage 16 on June 1st. Because it's just a lull before the storm. Don't get comfortable in this material world. Something is going to happen. Something is going to happen. This is the nature. Anyone who's trying to be comfortable in this material world is in for a shock. I call it a what happened moment. In Chatsworth, anybody from Chatsworth here? You heard of a what happened? You ever got a what happened? You gave him what happens? It's when somebody slaps you and you're like, what happened? So I call it a what happened moment. Even someone like Hiranyakashipu, who was so powerful, think about what his situation was. He is the ultimate, the prototype, the crest jewel, Asurya Varya, the topmost of all the of all the demons, of all the demons. Yet, one of his greatest disappointments and what happened moments in his life was that he got a child like Prahlad. What a disappointment. He thought he was going to get a son that was going to be so expert in cheating, in diplomacy, in politics, in business, in exploitation. And what did he get? Such a failure of a child, Prahlad. Someone who was simply focused on Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. Simply focused on the 9, on the Navavedya Bhakti. Who simply devoted to serving Krishna. Such a disappointment. Actually, by the way, people in this world feel like that about their children when they join Hare Krishna temple. I did so much. I prayed so much to this one and that one, and see what happened to my son? He went and joined the temple. How could he do that? Such a disappointment. This was Hiranyakashipu's word. He was so shocked. How could I, the ultimate materialist, father a child like Prahlad? It was a great disappointment to him. He didn't realize this was his greatest benediction. He couldn't see that. Couldn't see that. The second time Hiranyakashipu had a shocker, an ultimate shocker, was that he performed for 100, is it 100 or 100 celestial years on Mandara mountain, propitiating Lord Brahma, chanting Om Brahmane Namaha, Om Brahmane Namaha, Om Brahmane Namaha. Standing with his hands up like this. Shit, I could do this about 20 years ago, and on one foot, on one foot, the hands up in there. Standing like that for 100 celestial years. If you can do it for 30 seconds, I'll say, wow. Now this is 100 celestial years. How do you calculate celestial years? I think one moment of ours is worth 6 months of the celestials. So it's a long time. Right? It's a long time. Like thousands and thousands of hours from our frame of reference. So he was doing all these austerities, and eventually Lord Brahma appeared. And what was the benedictions that he asked for? Let's see, what was the benedictions he asked for? Do you remember?
To not be killed by human, not be killed by animal.
Yes.
Not to be killed inside.
So this is, I'll read it out to you. O my Lord, the best of the givers of benediction, if you will kindly grant me the benediction I desire, please let me not meet death from any of the living entities created by you. That pretty much covers everything. Anyone that Lord Brahma created must not be able to kill Hiranyakashipu. Then he thought, just say in case there's some loophole, grant me that I not die within any residence or outside any residence. Inside or outside. What is the famous prayer we chant about Lord Nrsingadev? Bahir Nrsinga, Ridhaya Nrsinga. Right? He's outside and he is inside. During the daytime or at night. That should pretty much cover everything. Right? Nor on the ground or in the sky. Wow, he's really covering all bases, right? Grant me that my death not be brought by any being other than those created by you, nor by any weapon, nor by any human being or animal. So many things were covered. Grant me that I not meet death from any entity, living or non-living. Wow. Grant me further that I not be killed by any demigod or demon or by any great snake from the lower planets. So like this, he covered everything that his intelligence could possibly conceive of. And then, when he struck that pillar, what came out? The antidote to all these benedictions came out. Can you imagine how shocked he was? That was an ultimate what happened moment. What happened here? What happened here? It was too shocking for him. But he thought, okay, I still can be safe. But then he was dragged out to the doorway. Neither inside nor outside. And what time did Lord Nrsingadev appear?
Sunset.
At twilight. Just at that in-between period of a few minutes. So neither day nor night. And where was he killed? On the lap. Not in the air and not on the ground. By an animal or a human being? Neither. Half man, half lion. Like this, the Lord just counteracted all of the benedictions so easily. So easily. And in that way killed Hiranyakashipu. First, what did he do with his Vajranaka? Vajranaka means his thunderbolt-like nails. He performed the very first open heart surgery. Ripped open his heart and just flung it across the room, across the palace. And then, so nice, I got a nice garland. Somebody respectable comes to your home, you meant to give them a garland. Hiranyakashipu wasn't really in a condition to give garlands. But still, he offered the Lord something. The Lord said, don't worry, I'll take care of it. So what did he do? He opened his abdomen and took out these nice intestines and garlanded himself. The Lord is so kind, huh? He was ferocious, beside himself in anger only because his pure devotee was being harassed in such a way, in such a difficult way. So we should consider these points. We should look at ourselves, the Hiranyakashipu-like tendencies in our heart, and pray to Lord Nrsingadev. A pure devotee, a real devotee of the Lord will never approach Lord Nrsingadev, my dear Lord, I'm hypertensive these days, my cholesterol is high, can you please help me with my health? You are of course the protector of your devotees. Please help me. My finances are not so good now. Please help me. There's squatters coming around my house now. Can you please chase them away? The squatters themselves are praying to the Lord, please give us a house, and you praying to the Lord to please chase them away. Who is the Lord going to listen to now? We do not approach the Lord for that. Rather, we ask Him to please enter into our hearts. Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya. Namaste Jaste Jase Avir Avir Bhava Vajranaka Vajradhangsha Karma Sayan Randaya Randaya Tamagrasta Grasta Om Swaha Abhayam Abhayam Atmani Bhuishta Om Shram. We pray to the Lord, please with your Vajranaka enter into my heart and destroy all those unwanted things that are there. Lust, anger, greed, jealousy, madness, illusion, all these things. Please take all those things out of my heart. Perform open heart surgery on me, like you did to Hiranyakashipu. Purify him. Purify my heart, so that I can become Prahlad-like. So that I can get your hand on my head. It's described, everyone was so scared after Hiranyakashipu was killed and thrown off the lap of Lord Nrsingadev. He was so ferocious, roaring in all directions, that even Brahma, Shiva, even the goddess of fortune, the wife of Lord Nrsingadev, didn't want to approach him. So then Brahma pushed the boy forward. You go. And when the Lord saw a little Prahlad, he became pacified and took him on his lap. And you know what the Lord did? What the Lord was doing to Prahlad? He was licking Prahlad all over. Like a she-lion, like a lioness, licks her cubs out of affection. This is what we need to do. We need to purify our hearts, pray to the Lord, enter, purify it. And then we need to take responsibility to constantly think of Krishna like Prahlad did. And then one day you'll see, we will be on the Lord's lap. Why not? We will be on the Lord's lap, being licked by Krishna. Right now we are so fearful of the Lord in the form of material nature. Right? Why are we fearful? Because we are not turning to the Lord in the form of Lord Nrsingadev. Just like Prabhupada says, we can choose to be either a kitten or a rat. You know the analogy? The kitten and the rat? How does the mother cat hold the kitten? With its mouth, right? In its jaw. Right? It carries like that. And how does the cat hold a rat? The same. So the same mouth is holding the two entities. But does the kitten feel scared in any way? Feels completely safe, completely protected. But what is the rat feeling? It's death. Death has come. So what mentality do we want to have? The rat mentality or the kitten mentality? So to develop that, we have to study the qualities of Prahlad. That's who we have to study. And actually this whole canto that deals with the appearance of Lord Nrsingadev really is a glorification of Prahlad. Most of the chapters here are discussing Prahlad's teachings, Prahlad's glories, Prahlad's activities, what he taught to his school friends, what he learned in the womb. It's so amazing. It's all an excuse simply to learn about Prahlad Maharaj. So we appeal to you also, please study the 7th canto. Actually, one may wonder sometimes that we are devotees of Lord Chaitanya. Right? We are devotees of Lord Chaitanya. And we are devotees of Radha and Krishna. Lord Chaitanya, we know, is the combined incarnation, combined manifestation of Srimati Radharani and Lord Krishna, simply for the purpose of Krishna trying to understand the depth, the extent of Srimati Radharani's love. So where does Lord Nrsimhadev come in? How does he fit into our bhakti? Like I said earlier, to purify our hearts, to make us eligible. Now this same Lord Chaitanya, when he was in Jagannath Puri, every day he would discuss with Gadadhar Pandit. For hours they would read Srimad Bhagavatam. And whenever they would come to the 7th canto, the story of Prahlad, what would the Lord do after finishing that story? What would he tell Gadadhar Pandit? Read it again. And when they finished it, what would he say? Read it again. You know how many times? 100 times. And then only they would go to the 8th canto. Now this is Radha and Krishna combined, so attached to reading the story of Prahlad. It shows how important, what an example Prahlad is to us. That we must all learn very sincerely from the example and behavior and qualities of Prahlad Maharaj. This is the most important lesson of the appearance of Lord Nrsimhadev. Actually, the glory of Lord Nrsimhadev is Prahlad. Is really Prahlad. That is the ultimate glory of the Lord, is his pure devotee. Alright, so I'll stop here. Does anyone would like to make any comments? Any reflections?
I was thinking of something, Prabhu, that Srila Prabhupada introduced the worship of Nrsimhadev at a point in time. Can you correct my understanding? I think it was when disciples bought a property and Prabhupada was not there. Then the owner of the property refused to give ownership to Giriraj Maharaj, if I'm not mistaken, I think it is. And Prabhupada went there, spoke to the individual, and then eventually told him, well, if you don't want to give us the property, give us back our money. And I think the next day he passed away. Am I right? Oh.
Yeah, Lord Nrsimhadev is related to that story. This happened in Juhu, Bombay, where Prabhupada was being a very influential businessman in Bombay was trying to cheat Prabhupada out of the sale agreement and the deposit, many lakhs of rupees that Prabhupada had paid for the land in Juhu, Bombay. And this man was he had a lot of connections, a lot of influence, way more than what we had at that time in India. And at every turn there was obstacles for Prabhupada and his disciples. But eventually one day, after things were almost seemingly like hopeless, the devotees got the news that this person, Mr. Nair, had suffered a heart attack and died. He had died. And when the news was relayed to Prabhupada, who was in New Zealand or Australia at that time, Prabhupada happened to be receiving a massage from Shruti Kirti Prabhu, his servant at that time. It's described that when Prabhupada heard the news, Prabhupada went like this, "Thank you, Krishna, thank you, thank you." And then the devotees were a little surprised at Prabhupada's reaction, because Prabhupada's a sadhu. How can he feel so much relief at someone dying? And then in the Bhagavatam, it actually said in this area that even a saintly person is pleased when a snake or a scorpion is killed. And Prabhupada commented that actually Lord Nrsimhadev killed him. Took care of it. Like that. But Srila Prabhupada instituted, actually way before that, the worship of Nrsimhadev for the protection of Islam, for the protection of his movement. You see, this movement, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, is Prabhupada's personal preaching mission. It's his personal offering to Krishna. And Krishna willed Srila Prabhupada to establish this movement. And you know, The way Prabhupada established it, when you establish something in the material world, a spiritual movement in the material world, it's an incompatible situation trying to establish something spiritual in the material world. But Prabhupada is a genius, and what he did is absolutely amazing. It's absolutely amazing that despite so many, and I've seen it, I can be honest, Mataji said I've been in management for over 20 years, and boy, we've had our challenges. We have made our mistakes. Boy, have we deviated from time to time. It is very true. We will not be shy and sweep things under the carpet and hide it. No, we have had challenges. But one thing we can remain convinced about is that Krishna, by the grace of Prabhupada, is in this movement and has kept it going. Not just going, but growing from strength to strength. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise. You'll find people, it's not this, it's no. But you can be sure that the Prahlad Maharajas are in this movement. The Lord Nrsingadevs are taking care of this movement simply because of Prabhupada's potency. Simply because of Prabhupada's potency. So we feel very grateful that the foremost representative of Lord Nrsingadev, Prahlad Maharaj, actually the foremost representative of Prahlad Maharaj in this modern day is Srila Prabhupada. And the gift that he gave us is in the form of this Hare Krishna movement. So Prabhupada established the worship of Nrsingadev for the protection of this movement. There were incidents way back in the late 60s, early 70s where people were attacking the temples, throwing bombs into the temples, and then Prabhupada introduced this prayer, Namaste Narishimhaya. Did we chant that today?
We did.
We did.
I
Okay.
did.
Before we came. Alright, so I need to know when devotees are fasting for Nrsingadev, must we break fast with grain or Ekadashi meals? Okay, the traditional proper way of breaking fast on any Vishnu Tattva appearance is to take Anukalpa or non-grain prasad. That is the gold standard. Gold standard. But it is not sinful to take grain. So if somebody feels that that's what they need to do, it's okay. But the gold standard of breaking fast is to just have some fruit, some milk, some nuts at the appropriate time. How can we try and overcome our bad qualities? Jealousy, envy, pride, arrogance. At times it is so difficult to try and overcome these negative qualities, even though we know that they are stumbling blocks in our spiritual lives. Yes, at least the first thing you got down, you know it's a stumbling block. How many people in this material world know that jealousy, envy, madness is a stumbling block? So many people thrive on it, so many people want to grow it more and more, right? But at least this is a start. This is a wonderful start that we know it's a stumbling block. And we don't shy away from it, we work on it. And you know what? Krishna is so kind, he'll give us opportunities to work on it. Krishna gives us opportunities to tolerate. How many of you have to tolerate your husband? Don't answer that. How many of you have to tolerate your wives? Please don't answer that. How many of you have to tolerate your parents? Whoa. What happened? What happened coming? How many of you have to tolerate your children? Everyone's tolerating everyone. Like once, Srila Prabhupada was hearing this complaint about this one devotee from another one. And eventually they stopped him and says, you should tolerate that person just as I am tolerating you. That's quite a slap in the face, right? Can you imagine how much Krishna has to tolerate with us? I mean, he's there in our heart all the time. Since time immemorial, lifetime after lifetime. And he's seeing all the stuff we are doing. And he's tolerating it. At least we can reciprocate with Krishna by tolerating someone else. Krishna has to tolerate our jealousy, our envy, our all the bad quality. Yes, he's there, right there. He's saying it all the time. And generally, do you know who that jealousy, envy, and all is directed to? To him, from us. But he tolerates it. So we can do that as well. Anyway, the other thing about these stumbling blocks, besides us putting a lot of effort, if we chant sincerely and nicely and with quality, it will give us such potency to overcome these issues. It will really. So if you work on your chanting with attention, chanting with quality, then it will see these issues will start getting washed away. Chaito Dharpana Marjana, your heart becomes cleansed. And then I would also say, very importantly, find devotees that you know are doing well with getting free from jealousy, envy, madness, and so on. Associate with them. Associate with them by serving them, by hearing from them. In that way you'll see, what they have will rub off on our consciousness. I noticed that ISKCON follows a different birth date for Krishna than the Hindus. Which birth date is the real one? Why are there different birth dates? That is a question I would also like answered. I really don't know why there are different birth dates. And now, since you're asking an ISKCON devotee, what do you think I'm going to say? There are some devotees doing more research. At least I can say, like on my mobile Gaudiya Vaishnav calendar, the Vedic calendar, Janmashtami this year falls on the 26th of August. It says right here. Can you read it? You can see it. Yeah. And it says fasting today, yeah. So according to this calculation, it's on Monday the 26th. Why there would be any other calculation, I don't know. I'm not anywhere trained in astrology to know these things. But I have reasonable faith in this because I see all my authorities following it. So, in any case, Krishna is appearing every moment. This is not a cop-out answer. Krishna is appearing every day. So every day is Janmashtami, in a sense. But anybody know why there are two different dates?
It's good. I'm just trying to remember, Riley used to stay with us, Riley, He understood some of the astrological stuff. So simply, I think it's got to do with the lunar and the equator, meaning the degrees. I remember, to give an example, like Ekadashi is on a particular day in Durban. But we are just 1,600 kilometers away in Cape Town. And 1 year, on our calendar, our ISKCON calendar, our Ekadashi was on a different date. And
can you imagine if you were traveling to Cape Town? 2 days.
2 days.
But you're traveling to Durban from Cape Town.
So it's got to do with that. I don't have the perfect answer, but I think that's understanding.
Follow your authority. That's all I could suggest. Follow your authority. All right, if there's nothing else, thank you also very much for your kind and attentive association. And we pray that Prahlad's qualities may rub up on all of us, and in that way we will attract the protection and mercy of Lord Nrsimhadev. Shri Nrsimha Bhagavan ki, Bhakta Shresh Prahlad Maharaj ki, Gaur Premanande.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, we have one more question, if that's okay.
Okay. Oh, it's you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Firstly, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for last week Sunday, the event with Kesha Goswami. It was amazing to be in association of yourself, and the other devotees was unbelievable, but Keshava Swami was the real spiritual cherry on this cake. It was amazing. So
Yeah,
thank you.
he is. Yeah, I really feel our movement has been blessed with such a stellar devotee. It's just phenomenal. Yeah, we're very lucky.
It was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Prabhu, my question is not, well, the question I had, I couldn't actually formulate it on that page. So I thought it would be better to ask it to you. But now I do have a second question that popped up, which is related to tonight's topic. So let me go for the first one, and then I'll get to the second one, if that's okay. So Prabhu, I wanted to know, at the moment of death, Swami Prabhupada teaches that we should prepare for this because it's such a glorious and important time in our lives. And at the moment of death, does it matter being an initiated devotee or not? So, like the first scenario I would like to put out there is, like yourself and I now, if we disappear at the same time, like now, but we both fortunate to remember Krishna at the time of death, we should be going to the same place, or are we not? You being initiated and myself being uninitiated.
Mm.
And then the second scenario to that question is, I am fortunate to remember Krishna at the moment of dying, but for some reason, whatever, you don't. Would I go higher? Would you not go higher? But you're initiated. I'm just trying to understand, like, what happens? Is there a difference at the moment of death between an initiated devotee and an uninitiated devotee? If we can be fortunate to remember Krishna. And then the second part of the question, Prabhu, I watched a video of Guru Parthasarathi Das, where he was talking about one of his god brothers mentioning that Lord Narasimha appeared for about 2 hours only. Is that true? And in that 2 hours, how did he disappear? Because I'm quite new in my Krishna conscious journey, but I'm trying to read as much as I can. But there's a lot about his appearance and what he did in that time, if you can confirm, like if you know yourself, if it is that 2 hours or not. But then his actual disappearance, how did that go? Thank you, Prabhu.
Initiated and not yet initiated, uninitiated. There is a difference in the quality of one's passing away. One thing is, the principle is, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Yam Yam Vapi Smanan Bhavam Tyajakyamti Kalevaram, that whatever state of being one is at the time of death, one will attain to that state without fail. Krishna doesn't qualify in any way initiated, uninitiated, race, gender, age. It doesn't say anything. It's very clear what your consciousness is focused on, to that state your consciousness will go. The thing about it being initiated is that one, through the process of Diksha, initiation, is now firmly connected to a chain that ultimately links up to Krishna. Now that's very important. Just like if one is on a ship and is thrown overboard, one can be thrown overboard while holding a chain, a link. And one can be thrown overboard without holding anything. Who may have a better chance of survival? The one holding on to a linking process. So similarly, if someone passes away at the time of death and they're initiated, and let's say for some reason they're not able to think of Krishna at the time of death, they are still connected to Krishna through the linking parampara, and they'll be carried to an auspicious destination simply by the dint of being initiated in a line coming from Krishna. But for a person who hasn't surrendered, accepted the system that Krishna, this initiation system, this parampara system, is not our manufacture. This system is created by Krishna. Evam param param praptam imam ridashara vidu. Krishna speaks this in the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. This is my system. This is how I want people to come to me, by surrendering through my representative, the spiritual master. And he then tells Arjuna, Tad vidhi pranibhartena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti devanam jnaninas tattva darshana. Try and surrender to me in this way, by approaching my representative, the spiritual master. So this is how Krishna wants us to do, for our protection. So yes, if someone's initiated, and if they don't remember Krishna, that's unfortunate, but at least they have that connection to their guru, who's connected to Krishna. So they have that safety factor. But a person who is not initiated and for some reason remembers Krishna, all glory to them. All glory to them. It's wonderful. But if they are not remembering Krishna, then the result could be quite dire, could be quite precarious. So that would be the difference, I would say. Is that all right?
Yes.
And as for Lord Nrsimhadev, yes, it's true, Lord Nrsimhadev manifested himself in that incarnation, in that kalpa, for a very short period of time. I never heard the actual time being 2 hours. I didn't hear duration, but I do know it was very short. It wasn't for days, like how Lord Ramachandra was. He ruled the planet for 11,000 years. Krishna was here for over 125 years. Not like that. Lord Nrsimhadev manifested for that particular purpose. That purpose was fulfilled immediately by the death of Hiranyakashipu, and then the Lord left. The description of his leading varies from Purana to different scriptures. In one scripture we find how he traveled through Mayapur Dham in West Bengal, took a break, washed his hands there in a place called Nishingapali, and then disappeared that way. How the Lord disappeared is transcendental, and to me at least, I don't know of just one description of how it manifests. Like we hear of how Krishna disappeared, how Lord Balaram disappeared in the 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, that Krishna was shot in the toe. He was shot in the toe and then he disappeared that way. I mean, who kind of dies by getting shot in the toe, you know? So it's like, unimaginable, so to speak. But Lord Nrsimhadev, all I know is, yes, very short period of time, performed his pastimes, blessed Prahlad, and then left. You know. So it was a very short time. All right, Hare Krishna. Thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna. So I would like to thank Prabhu for the very informative class. Thank you so much, Swarup Prabhu. I'm sure we all have a very much deeper understanding of the pastime of Lord Nrsimhadev. And I would also like to take this opportunity to thank Swarup Prabhu's Dharampatni, his wife, Sukumari Mataji, for joining us this evening. A huge round of applause to her. And also Gopal Raj Prabhu and his lovely wife Tulsi Priya Mataji. They have all come from Shri Shri Radha Radhanath this evening. So we feel very honored that you have joined us. Thank you so much. And I also like to take the opportunity to thank Swarup Prabhu and Sukumari Mataji for everything that you all do. We have such a beautiful mandir in Chatsworth. Shri Shri Radha Radhanath is run so beautifully, and it's all the efforts that they put in. So we thank you all for everything that you all do for the Vaishnava community and even our day-to-day spiritual practices. We have lovely devotees like you all that are continuously inspiring us. So thank you. And another huge round of applause for Swarup Prabhu. I just have 2 announcements for this evening. We have our Food for Life coastal that prepares meals every weekend and distributes it to disadvantaged communities. So this week, Sunday, the 26th of May, Food for Life coastal will be cooking 8 handles of biryani and distributing 2,000 meals. So we would really appreciate it if you all could avail yourselves and come through and assist. It is such a beautiful service to engage in. And we have the cooking aspect, we have the packing aspect, and we have the distribution as well. And it is so nice to get involved in this kind of service and see the difference that we make to these communities, and what better way than to distribute prasad, sanctified meals to all these disadvantaged communities. So please, if you can, avail yourselves this week Sunday at 8:30 a.m. is when we start the packing, and thereafter going out on distribution. As usual, our Namahatta family, we always have something to celebrate. We always have birthdays that we're celebrating, and yet again this week we have birthdays. I know we have 5 birthdays that we celebrated, but